I didn't think that being gay and being Māori was something that could be compatible. I thought that I had to choose.
Looking different to all the other kids, that was tough. It was, hey man, you're not one of us.
People in retail are told what a person that's going to spend money is going to look like, what a person who might shoplift is going to look like. We don't want anyone to walk in our store and feel like that.
We want to retain our individuality as a race. If judged by your standards we fall short, does it matter very much whether we square up to the Pākehā standards or not?
Kaore pea I a koe te mana whakahaere I ngā āhuatanga ka pā ki a koe. Engari, kai a koe te whakatau. Kia kaua koe e iriwhau.
Looking different to all the other kids, that was tough. I was faced with a lot of bullying. It was, hey man, you're not one of us.
Ain't nobody like me, oh yeah. Ain't nobody like me,
My name is Mohammed. Stage name Muse. From Auckland, New Zealand.
Ain't nobody like me, Ain't nobody like me, oh yeah.
I'm a first-generation Somali, Kiwi refugee, a long title. Came to New Zealand when I was 2 years old, back in 1995. Came here fleeing really bad civil war and a dire situation. It was a collapse of an entire government. You know, when a nation like that collapses, it's very, very ugly. And there's a lot of inter-tribal tension. It was pretty much anarchy. I came here with my mom and dad and my 2 siblings, and we just found a new home. Growing up as a kid here, around, the mid-90s to early 2000s, this was probably the most diverse area in the entire country. And this was just a hub for immigrants, refugees. So, you had a real diverse population, a lot of Somalis, a lot of Ethiopians, a lot of Afghanis, a lot of people from India as well. Community of people, I guess, just in the same situation, navigating a new life.
All the kids around my way.
Other kids.
Hope that they get through the day.
How do they get through?
And I'm inside just counting blues.
The biggest problem that you're faced with early on in your life is finding your identity.
Yeah.
It's a very, very unique struggle where they do not feel like they fit the mold of the society around them. But at the same time, they go home and they still feel the same. Not really finding, a strong identity in either world, so they've got to kind of shape their own.
I'm putting pen to paper, let my thoughts sink in. I'm just trying to let it all sink in. How'd I come from almost being a cold case to sharing a stage with Ghostface, still running at my own pace. Gone are the days I used to showcase my talent to friends and await approval. Nowadays I really show face. With all the judgment and sentences, life's a running court case, feeling like 42, running through the 4th base.
Well, it was very difficult because, as particularly from my community, we were probably the first wave of, Somali or African migrants, refugees that came into the country. So in terms of real life role models in the community, that was impossible.
Follow through, I'm handing out lessons in classes and sessions. She gon' say my shit is whack cause she can't take rejection. Don't come around these ways expecting redemption. Go and find you a reverend, young, black and pretentious.
We look to pop culture for our role models. Movies, biggest thing was hip-hop, man. Hip-hop was that. Seeing black artists that look like me, you know, rapping with all these different cadences and flows. I'm just like, wow, that's magic.
Still my face shows more resolve, but still I fear it's not enough.
Still follow what they say, follow the pay. $1 million missiles aimed at people living on $1 a day. President allocating them. They don't want refugees, but still creating them.
And if you disagree, you're aiding and abetting them.
I actually didn't start writing music properly till I was about 18, 19. And being accepted by, you know, hip-hop artists that you've always, you know, looked up to, that's probably been one of the more rewarding things, and it just the dog feeling of belonging, yeah.
19 the first time I wrote a rhyme on a page. 21 the first time I saw a mic.
The empowerment, I think, is the biggest thing about hip-hop that I love the most. No other genre empowers people the way it does.
Not to mention inspiring a generation.
Hip-hop is part of my identity, but it's also how to find my identity too.
Tonight's not a joke, man. All the early birds have been sold out now. Yeah. Bro, we might pack this out. I'm super excited. I feel like, you know, stars are aligning, man.
How we all doing tonight? Yeah, we're about to get things back up and running. We've got more Muse in the house, y'all. This is first Christchurch show, showing some love, and then we've got the whole...
As a kid, I was conditioned to hide my story. I didn't tell anyone where I was from, what my background was, what the circumstances was of coming to New Zealand.
All the kids right my way have lost hope, and all the kids right my way just don't cope, and all the kids right my way would rather be somebody that darkers and nobody is no love.
It's amazing because the biggest lesson I learned was that my biggest power was in sharing my story. And when I found that out, that's when everything took off. That's how you get to a place where, you know, you are performing in front of all these very keen listeners in the audience.
That was crazy. That show was wild. In my mind, it could not have gone any better. And I'm just so proud that that was the response, considering it was my first show in Christchurch. I feel like that was real special. That was a moment where I connected with majority of the crowd.
It was just an unbelievable feeling of liberation when I did find my story and really tell it.
Ko te kurahuna o te oranga o te tangata. Kāore I roto I te whakapūmautanga. Kia ora tonu. Engari, kai roto kē. I te rapu, I te tahi take. Kia ora tonu. Whāia te tikahurangi. Ki te tuohu koe. Me he maunga teitai.
Protest is important to me because it's important to stand up and make your voice heard when you know that there is injustice happening. My name is Huriana Kopeke te aho. I whakapapa to Ngāti Pura, Ngāti Kahununa ki Wairoa, Ngai Tūhoe, Rongo Whakata and Te Atiha Nui a Paparangi, Samoa and Tahiti. Denmark and Scotland. I identify as takatapui. It encapsulates my non-binary identity, my sexuality, and my Māori whakapapa. I came out when I was 16. I didn't want it to be a big deal. I just wanted people to know that, like, this doesn't change me because I've always been this way. I didn't think that being gay and being Māori was something that could be compatible. I thought that I had to choose, and for a really long time I chose to ignore my Māori whakapapa, which is devastating. When I was 10, my dad passed away, so a really hard age to lose a parent, I think. When he passed away, I felt like my whole world kind of collapsed in on itself. I didn't know if there was ever going to be a point where I wouldn't feel so much grief.
There's been a lot of mamae in Huriana's life, but I believe that gives Huriana strength. And it's reflected in their artwork. It's reflected in their, at times, oversensitivity to kaupapa. And they feel stuff so deeply.
Art is a really great outlet for me because I find speaking things out loud really difficult. But if I can draw a picture or I can write something, it's easier to give that to people and be like, this is what's going on with me now. I draw on a Wacom tablet, so it basically is just like sketching on a sketch pad, except it translates to a computer program. I really love portraits, actually, because it's nice to be able to capture people. The basis of everything that I do comes down to like a love of storytelling that was instilled in me by my mum. I think like since I was a kid, I love to draw. I always found joy in creating things. And my dad was an artist too, so he had a beautiful voice, but he also did whakairo, and he was a very stunning painter. He was crazy talented. I was kind of like his little shadow.
I met Huriana at Ikomata. I started to notice the images that Huriana was making. It sort of piqued my interest. And then I approached Huriana and asked if they would like to collaborate on this project.
The image is about Pākehā taking a seat and listening to marginalised peoples and finding a way to be comfortable about not being the centre of the conversation. My koro was a member of the Communist Party in the 1950s. My mum has done a lot of mahi around Māori sovereignty and tino rangatiratanga land rights struggles since she was 14. And so we have this very long history in our family. The 2004 foreshore and seabed hukui, my mum pulled us out of school and took us to Parliament. But it was exciting to see so many of us coming together. So that was really like the first major political moment in my life. The first protest movement that I was a part of here was prison abolition, sort of kaupapa with papa, People Against Prisons Aotearoa. Got involved in the occupation out in GI to protest the sale of state housing. And the most recent has been the movement to protect the Himata. Today we're going out to one of the kaitiaki days at Himata. They usually run them every Sunday. It's just like a working bee on the whenua. Today we're planting some silver beet and there's food boxes. It makes you feel connected to the food that you're growing and the food that you're going to eat.
Huriana is very talented in terms of art and design, and has been able to draw in a lot of supports and help us think of things in a different way.
I think that being Māori has given me everything that's good in my life. A community, a sense of purpose. I had to go through some really difficult stuff to get to that point. Coming almost like home to myself has meant that my work has substance that it didn't used to have. My art practice is always aimed to prioritise the stories of people who are politically marginalised. For me, I think it's really difficult to constantly be making work about the trauma that our people go through. So I've always tried to illustrate what we could have instead of what we don't. How can we empower and mobilise our people to fight back against all of this trauma that's thrown our way? When people connect with my mahi, I think it's the most humbling feeling in the world. Being able to speak to other people's experiences in a way that they haven't thought about before and influencing the way that they think is just such a privilege and such an honour. Being able to represent people in a way where they feel empowered has really been one of the biggest joys of my life.
Whatu ngaro te tangata. Toi tū te whenu. Ka mimeti, ka mahora te ora. I runga I tōhiri ngā matua. Ki te tai apu tūraru me te whakamātau huara iho.
Almond milk with the Wheaties for breakfast. Eat my baby for dinner. Had to switch up the methods. We don't hang with pretenders. I'm the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah. Say the city yet again, here it comes, yeah.
People in retail are told what a certain shopper looks like, what a person that's going to spend money is going to look like, what a person who might shoplift is going to look like. And if you don't dress a certain way, they don't think that you have the money to spend in their store. And it's hurtful. We don't want anyone to walk in our store and feel like that. My name's Sian and Kolose.
My name is Tina Kolose.
And we own Hunting Ground Store. We're a second-hand clothing store. We focus on designer, streetwear, clothes that are different, that are funky, that you feel comfortable in and you feel like you can express yourself in.
Sian's my older sister. I love working with her. Her strengths are my weaknesses. She's really social and she's good at networking. I'm real good behind the scenes and on the laptop and things. When that all comes together, that's what makes Hunting Ground successful.
I think growing up, we were always experimental with what we wore. Clothing wasn't a priority. Our parents didn't want to be spending money on sportswear labels, Nike and that stuff, brand new. A lot of our clothes came from our mum's best friend, who's always worked in secondhand clothing. And so we just learned how to put our own things together. Personally, for me, my styles throughout my whole life, it really chopped and changed. I wore probably a lot of horrible things too.
I was into fashion when I was growing up. I was a tomboy. So, for example, at school, I think I was the first girl in primary school to wear the boys' uniform. But after I wore the boys' uniform, heaps of other girls started wearing the boys' uniform. It's been really important because it's just been a way of how I express myself. I've been different, and that's how I've showed my difference. When we grew up in Onehunga, all my grandparents are immigrants.
Nana.
That's Nana. Nana Anna.
She looks your age. On my dad's side, they both came from Samoa. On my mum's side, my grandmother's from Samoa and my grandfather came from England.
Oh, Tina, you look so gorgeous. You look so cute.
Just in front of I have my little overalls on. I still wear overalls now. What year would this have been?
That's vintage, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was probably 1960.
Our family was really close. Our mum and dad, they're always helping out, so dad's made our changing rooms. One event we were pressed for time, mum came in and she was helping us iron the shirts. Our nana and grandpa, they come to every event that we usually hold.
You wore that to my 21st year? Yes.
I'm proud of them getting it up and running like they have, you know. It's not easy to get into business, and they've done it.
The beautiful thing about it, they started slowly in the beginning, doing it online before even getting the stock and opening the store and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, she is.
Oh, no, Shan wasn't in that one, no.
I'm wearing a feeler jumper.
Our mum's a really, really hard worker. She had us all while she was doing law at university. She's always supported us and we've looked up to her. She's always said, why don't you do your own thing? You're capable of it. Once I had kids, then I wanted to do something that they could be proud of, just show them that they can do anything they want to do as well. We just went over to LA. We bought back a whole lot of new stuff. It's really heavily focused on printed T-shirts, 90s T-shirts, and things that people want to wear to festivals this summer. So vibrant button-ups, two-pieces. Yeah. Today we're putting on an event called Beats and Bows. We've got our friend June Kim, who does Final Court, and she'll be making bows today. And we have Percy's Headwear doing vintage hats. And then we have local DJs, including my sister Tina. For these events, what we're wanting to create is just an atmosphere, getting people down, having fun, and all the things that we love, like food, music. Creating an experience so it isn't just shopping. We decided to start Hunting Ground Store because we wanted to create something that represented us, that represented people like us. We didn't want to just be a store. We wanted to provide an experience when you walk in our doors or when you go into our online store or when you interact with us personally. I think we really worked with other young brown people. We want those people to be the face of our clothing.
When we source clothes, it's really important for us to get a wide range of sizes. It's also important for us to not just use your typical size 8 model. Not everyone's a size 8. We break gender stereotypes. Most of our clothes is unisex.
She dropped dead gorgeous. Yeah, she dropped dead gorgeous.
It's different. Nobody else is doing it at the moment. I haven't seen people like me represented, people like their models represented, and I think that's really cool. And they just bring their own flavor to it.
Yeah, just got that Fashion Nova package.
There's not enough representation for Pacific people, let alone women. So I think what they're doing is really good.
She dropped dead gorgeous.
It's really important to have marginalised communities sort of represented in these industries because they're not. The things that fit us, the things that work for us, nobody even pays attention to or knows about because there's no spaces for Polynesian women of colour. For them to be doing what they're doing, I think it's super powerful. Like, they're making a statement and it's like carving out more of a space for us, definitely.
What drives me when we're running Hunting Ground is my niece and nephew. It's really important for them to be able to see us working hard and seeing us be successful in what we do. I want them to be able to see people like them, so when we pick models, I always think of my niece and nephew.
It's really cool because they say they want the store to be theirs one day, and it's just really cool that they're proud of it. They tell people at school. My daughter goes on the website and shows her friends. Just happy that they can see us do it, and they know there's that opportunity there for them if they want to do, not even our business, any business of their own, they can do it.
Ko te tangata ka kite I te katoa I roto I aia anō. Ka kite anō hoki I aia anō ki roto I te katoa. Ko te uruwehi ka ngaro.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.